Hi, everyone. So, welcome back. I feel like I should start by saying welcome back to my channel, but besides that, I will be recording over the next couple of weeks. So today we're going to go with looking at chapter 3, more specifically process costing. All right, so if you guys get a chance, make sure you go look at the video before this. We're talking about all about how we process ice cream or make ice cream. This one is a hard one to start in between the lessons. So I thought the best way to do this is kind of share my screen or share where I'm starting off in the presentation, and then we'll go from there. All right, so give me a second. Let me share my screen. All right, so here's a presentation for process costing, and we're gonna kind of jump ahead to slide number 4. So if you can journey with me, kind of go through this and see if you can kind of again read through this on your own at your own leisure and look at the commonalities between job costing and process costing. But again, where I want to focus or start our presentation is right around this slide number 4. And so what I want to make sure you understand is under process costing, we have a work in process account for each department. And so we're in the business of making ice cream. So we think of any ice cream, your favorite ice cream place, and they have 2 departments. One is the mixing department and the other one is the packaging department. Now, what's important to note here is our direct materials, direct labor, and our factory overhead will look a little bit different in each of the departments, okay? And so the way, maybe the way you can think about this is if you are in the mixing department, your direct materials include all of these things, right? So it includes your dairy, your milk, your sugar, your cream, and all of those good things, right? And that's what your direct labor materials is, excuse me. However, in the packaging department, the direct materials in this particular area may look a little different. We're not going to have dairy and milk and cream and sugar because the item has already been finished. The ice cream has already been made and it has been now transferred to a new department. And so the direct materials in this particular department looks like, tops and lids and things of that nature. It looks a lot different, okay? So that's the biggest thing you need to take away. Also being that each department has its own work in process account. So the mixing department, the packaging department, they all have their own department. And so as we transfer things from one department to another, maybe the direct materials, the direct labor, and the factory overhead started off with a cost of, say, $70. But once we finished this process, it was then transferred to the packaging department. And then they added the lids and the labor and the forklifts and electricity. And so then this one maybe batch of ice cream or this gallon of ice cream went from $70 to now $95 because again, they've added their portion. And now when we transfer it to finished goods, maybe this represents the cost of our ice cream is again $95, okay? Started off at $70, they added another $20 here, and now we're at $95, okay? And so this is just the cost of making the ice cream for your favorite ice cream maker, okay? It doesn't represent the sales cost, just the cost of making it, all right? So then I'm gonna move on. So again, if you're reading through the slides, this is the physical flow of the process manufacturer, say Edy's or Dryers, Haagen-Dazs, what have you. So it starts off with materials, and then all of those materials go into the mixing department. And then once the mixing department finishes their portion, they're going to send it to packaging. And then after packaging, put the lids and tops and, cool it and freeze it and all of that good stuff. It becomes finished goods where it's stored in a warehouse or a freezer or something of that nature. All right. So the whole part of this, or why all of this is important because it's important to value our inventory. Remember, the reason why we go through all of this trouble of assigning costs to it is because some of our inventory will not be completed at the end of the period, and some of it will be partially completed and so forth and so on. So how do you assign a cost to partially completed gallons of ice cream and completed ice cream and things of that nature? So again, the reason we need to go through this is to value it. Remembering that when we assign a value to our inventory, the inventory that we sell, right, that one goes on the income statement. As our cost of goods sold. And then the inventory that we do not sell, right? Do not sell. Sorry. That one goes on the balance sheet. And this, balance. Come on. All right, this one goes on the balance sheet, and this is shown up as inventory. Okay, so this is again why we focus so much on valuing this inventory and why it's important to determine how many units were touched or finished or transitioned from different stages of the production process. So I'll give you guys a second to read through that. What it comes down to is this cost of production report. So at the end of the period, we must determine the cost of units transferred from one department to another. So in our particular case, we're looking at, we have our two departments, right? We have our mixing department and then our packaging department. Come on. My pen doesn't like me today. All right, packaging. All right. So this cost of production report, it is basically trying to account for everything that maybe each department touched, right? So at the very end of the month, let's say this is the month of February, as a supervisor or the plant intendant or superintendent for this particular area, I want to know, okay, for the mixing department, how many batches of ice cream did you mix? Was it all completed? Was it partially completed? How do I assign a cost to that? And if it was completed, how much was this transfer? How much in dollar value was transferred to the next department, right? And how much stayed in your department, right? And so then the same thing for the packaging department. How much did you package? How much did you get from the mixing department? How much more do you have left to package because you didn't finish as of February, okay? All right, so here is our 4-step process. Again, we need to first determine the units to be assigned. So if I'm looking specifically at the mixing department, how many units did I touch? How many batches did I stir together? How many was completed? How many was partially completed? And then I'm going to compute the equivalent units of production, determine the cost per equivalent unit, and then allocate 2 units transferred out and partially completed. Okay. All right, so just to recap, read through this one, but remember in Accounting 1A, you should have learned FIFO, which is first in, first out. And the whole idea here is if we started units in a prior period, we're going to finish them first and then start on new units. And then whatever we started on and didn't finish, that will become our work in process ending inventory, okay? So we're gonna, I'm gonna start a new video, but we're gonna start with this example. So I have already attached this example in a sheet in the demonstration part number 1 in this. I have assigned it already. So I really encourage you guys to like follow along with me and see how we can go through this process, right? So we're going from step 1 to step 4. So I'm gonna do a video on each of them so you guys have a better understanding of how do we assign costs given this information, okay?